All right, good afternoon, traders, and welcome to the Ask Me Anything with Doug Pless. So we've had Doug on here before. You probably have seen his webinar, and he's has a very unique strategy that with some new tools from SpotGamma, looking at options and options levels, and integrating that within the order flow in Bookmap. We thought this would be a really good session with Doug, since there are a lot of questions on options and it can be rather tricky. Let's go through a little bit about Doug's background here. He's been trading options around 2008, and selling strategies is what he began with. Worked with a lot of different people in the industry, a lot of the guys from Thinkorswim, it looks like, and then left in 2017 his engineering career and started trading around and then also futures in 2019, and started to dig deeper into it and join Bookmap here. And very happy to have him in here. So he has contact information if you want to reach out on his Twitter. He has some SpotGamma articles in here. I'll put these into the chat for you guys, and a presentation and a webinar too. I'll put that all into the chat for you. So some disclosures really quickly, and then let's just turn it right over to Doug. General disclosure: all Bookmap Limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. The risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, so let me share Doug's screen, and then we should be all good to go here. So hold on just a minute. Okay. Yeah, hold on a moment here. I got it wrong. Okay, now I got it. Okay, looks like we're all set to go. And this is in Discord, and guys, our chats are in Discord and also in YouTube, but try to join us over in Discord. Probably find it easier to do. So Doug, have at it.
Okay, so can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, welcome everyone. Good afternoon. Thanks for hanging around on a Friday afternoon. Um, Let me know if you have any questions. If not, I'll just talk a little bit about what I've been doing. And Bruce, do you have any questions?
I do. I mean, just during the daily advanced webinars that we have, you've pointed out some really nice areas where you saw something. And let's take a look at today, for example, in the S&P. And you were looking at the SPY, and tell us, kind of what you saw, and going through the process, because we're not looking at options. We're not looking at the spot gamma levels, and you were, and we were just reading the order flow in the S&P. So you saw something really good that led to a very strong move to the downside.
Okay, so first of all, I use um, options trades and the corresponding market maker hedging activity to inform my trades, day trades in futures and stocks. So in ES, for example, um, market makers will make markets in SPY and SPX options, and they hedged their delta exposure with ES futures. That's the most efficient way for them to do that. So um, there are two tools that I use to look at that. The first is um, Bookmap Hero, and that is shown in the green line in my subchart here. So what Bruce is referring to is this move right here. We'll take a look at just this section of ES. So um, I actually saw this in SpotGamma Hero first, but it shows up in Bookmap Hero as well. So you can see the green line sloping down, showing that market makers were selling ES futures to hedge bearish trades in option trades in SPY. So we'll look at that in SpotGamma Hero in just a minute. So again, notice how far this precedes the move down. It started, I guess, almost 30 minutes before ES started to move down. So, in this case, it was a good leading indicator. And then what I actually saw in this tool, let's take a look at, we'll take a look at SPY first. And then I'll talk a little bit about this tool as well. It's new. So this is SPY, and so you can see the same point here that the options flow in SPY started turning bearish. So traders were buying puts and or selling calls, and we can also see exactly what they were doing by changing this total, which combines the call and put transactions into one signal. We can change that to put and call, and now it's showing the get my cursor off there. It's showing the entire day. So what I saw is not as prevalent as it was at the time, but you can see that this trader started slightly selling calls and buying puts again well before the downturn. So it was a good leading indicator.
Yeah. At what point did you start to see that? And uh, and then like you let us know about it. I forget at what point as well, but we were still in an uptrend, so we're looking for it to until we see something in the order flow that tells us that it should reverse or do something else. We go with the uptrend, but you clearly saw something at a certain point.
I've got a screenshot here that I took. Can you see that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, again, at the time, it was appeared to be much more prevalent. That there was a large block order of a trader buying calls, and then traders immediately started selling that, and pretty much at the same time they started buying puts. And again, that occurs well before the downturn. So it's just something to look out for. You see this and anticipate a move down. It doesn't always work out, but in this case it did. There are other signals as well. So it looked like there were my yellow line shows stops. So the buy stops stopped a little bit before 1045, and that looks like that was pretty much what was driving, along with that large call buying and SPY as well as stops, was driving the up move. And it looks like that just kind of ran out at this liquidity at about 540. And, so combining the hero signal with what you see in Bookmap, gives you quite an edge, looking at, uh, how it just fails to make it through this liquidity. And then the large red dots come in, CVD turns down, uh, sell stops start. So there was, this leading indicator for the reversal. And then, again, reading the order flow and Bookmap, confirms that.
Yeah, it's curious though, because if you look at the hero indicator in the subchart there, the green line, um, yeah, I mean, it just looks like they kind of just stopped buying, um, or hedging, basically, and so it kind of flatlines and starts to go down, and then it starts to actually kind of pop up again. But if you look at the other tool, which is, it splits out both calls and puts, and or at least that screenshot that you were looking at, because that, I think that really shows it nicely. You saw that, yeah, okay, they weren't really buying calls anymore, and it was starting to go a little bit negative there, but they really started to hit the puts hard.
Right.
And then like we jumped over in the webinar, we jumped over and took a look at SPY, and it was just like the order flow was different. There was some pretty heavy selling in SPY, and that's kind of one of the telltales that we're looking for a reversal to start to take place. And I mean, that played out just, I mean, unbelievably well. Look at the price drop after that. I mean, it was just a beautiful confluence of events.
Right. And, keep in mind that hero and Bookmap includes signals. It's a combined signal for SPX and SPY. I tend to look at SPY individually. I think it may have more influence. I think I've seen notes from Brent at SpotGamma indicating that as well. And typically um, in his PM notes, he shows hero for SPY, not SPX. But again, hero and Bookmap combines both. So here is SPX, and you can see that. Compare that with SPY. So it's doing something different.
Yeah, yeah,
So
completely.
this question came up in chat I think in the futures channel earlier today, uh, about some confusion with uh, hero and Bookmap. And the thing to remember, hero and Bookmap for ES combines call and put signals for SPX and SPY. And although there's an arbitrage relationship between SPX and SPY, they're really two different products used by could be used by uh, different parties for different purposes. I think typically SPY is reserved. I think considered a retail product, whereas SPX is considered an institutional product.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I mean, early on, Brent decided to put the two together, and have that as the study.
Right.
So and it's uncanny. I mean, the SPY is like, yeah, I mean that it gives so much information there. Um,
So
Go ahead.
this new tool, SpotGamma Hero, is the web-based version of Hero, and it allows you to separate out call and put transactions for SPY and SPX to see the in much greater detail the order flow and the hedging flow in ES.
Hmm. Um, Yeah, and it is interesting the way that you showed that how he's separating it out there with the puts and calls, and then
Right.
relationship of price there as well. So David has a question right off the bat here. So sorry about that, getting to it just now. But he's asking if you can show how you act on hero signals, and how do you pre-anticipate and enter into a position based on that, or do you wait for the price action?
Well, a hero signal is a confirmation. It's something that I would not act on hero alone. It's a very strong confluence. So in this case, now I was trading stocks today, but I noticed this during the webinar, um, that seeing that I would begin to look for um, a short entry. Seeing and plus uh, my thesis for the day was bearish. Given the strong run up in stocks and the indices all week, and then there was a lot of call buying, kind of the risk on meme stock call buying was back, and typically they're buying options that expire today. So those either traders are going to take profits or those calls start to lose value, and market makers uh, would start to unwind their long stock hedges. They would start selling their stock, and that played out very well in several stocks or a lot of stocks today. But my overall thesis today was bearish, so I was anticipating shorts, and I traded stocks, but anticipating short entries is what I was looking for today. So given that, seeing the hero signal, and then waiting for the uh, what I would consider more of uh, entry triggers in Bookmap based on the order flow is when I uh, would consider entering the trade here. When I see it actually turning over, and then I perhaps right here at about 34, 35, seeing uh, it failed to go back up, uh, would be a good entry. And then your exit would depend on your trading plan and trade management.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was really nice there. I mean, that selling really comes in, and I think we jumped over at SPY quickly, and that's where it was like it looked even better. I thought that
Yeah, let's
that
take a look at
selling.
SPY. Yeah, I've got a little bit of a lag when changing tabs now.
Okay.
That I think that may happen because I have
So many symbols open.
so many indicators open.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes sense.
All right, let's zoom in on this area.
Yeah, yeah. I
So
mean, the selling
pretty
there.
much the same signal here.
Yeah, yeah. It was the I think where you see that big red dot there. It really stood out on
right?
SPY. Yeah.
It's interesting also that the reversal occurs right at 453.
Yeah, you've long been, you know, looking at some of these, uh, you know, even numbers there, and also areas where, SPY usually or typically the liquidity that stays in the book is kind of hard to see. Here, I mean, you do see it at 452 for sure, but other than that, they're really close in and hedged around, current price.
Right.
And it's kind of hard to read, but here you see, yeah, very clearly at 452 that liquidity that got filled there, and then
Now, also in SPY, there uh, quite a bit of red dots
yeah,
all the way up, and CVD is trending down, even while um, uh, even while SPY is moving up. And I guess that really shows that the hedging flow here is a big part of the driver, along with the stops in ES. And then as soon as that stops, uh, you know, a few minutes later, SPY starts to turn down.
mm. Um, yeah, let me jump in here. There's a lot of questions coming in, so this is
Okay.
great, and that's what we're here for. Let's see, David. I think so we answered that one. Was the indicator bearish this afternoon during the webinar? Yeah, I mean, yeah, we covered that there. Uh, and let's see. And so I'm reading the Discord stuff first. I'll get to the YouTube stuff in a bit.
Yeah, I'm only looking at Discord. I'm not looking at YouTube.
Okay. If you want to go ahead, then just after David there, Boy Robot says, when looking at individual stocks, how do you scan for ideas during the day?
Okay. So that is something that I'm still working on. I just recently started trading stocks again. And let me go back to um, SpotGamma Hero. And I'm going to change this over to um, this is my watch list. And uh, I look at this uh, during the first 30 minutes, just kind of scan through this as well as Bookmap. And again, my thesis for the day um, was bearish for stocks. Again, based on the run up all week and the strong call buying, anticipating that traders would take profits and those calls would start to lose value, and market makers would unwind their stock hedges. Um, so I was looking for stocks that were trading above their key gamma strike and would uh, trade down to that. And I found a couple. Um, this is Microsoft. So I traded this today. And the key gamma strike was at 300. And this is an area or a level of gamma concentration, and can act as a magnet for price. So this is one. And you can see that up until about lunchtime, the traders were, and these lines are in delta terms. So the orange line shows calls, and this means that traders were selling calls, which is a negative delta or a bearish position, and traders were buying puts. That's the blue line, which is also a bearish or negative delta trade. So this shows that traders were both buying puts and selling calls, and the price responds uh, directly to that. And then another one was square. And this is a little bit harder to see. Um, you can, well, one thing you can really see with this is that calls were driving the stock. So the stock moves uh, in conjunction with the call trades more than the put trades. But both, the calls were definitely bearish, selling calls, and it looks like there was um, net change of traders buying puts today by a small amount. So we can look at the total. And again, this leads me to believe that that calls were driving the action today.
So those two stocks met your criteria basically,
Right.
and those are the two that
I,
you traded.
right. So I'm sure there were many more, but again, I'm still working on this process, looking, going from when you're trading futures, trading one instrument and watching uh, every tick up and down to watching 10 or 12 stocks and trying to be in the right place at the right time is something that I'm still working on.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, it's a beautiful thing that you can always find something there, but to find the right
Right.
ones is where it gets a little tricky. Let's see here. We'll continue on, and I'll jump over to YouTube here.
Okay.
Uh, okay, so yeah, Sam is asking about loves your strategy, fascinated by it, but um, gets confused on your entry point, and if you can elaborate on that.
Say that again.
Yeah. So Sam, likes your strategy, resonates with him, but he's confused on your entry points, and if you could please explain a bit further.
Okay. So let's take a look at we'll take a look at those stocks in Bookmap. So let's go to Microsoft. And I look for pullbacks. And I do look at candlestick charts, also 1 minute candlestick charts, and use some of JTrader's techniques. Use the 9 EMA. And also, I find the absorption and sweep indicators are very helpful. Um, so let's zoom in here. Now, one thing that happens with the absorption and sweep indicators is I have them set on automatic. So the setting changes every 10 minutes. So after hours, it tends to show more of these. So normally during the day it wouldn't show so much. So uh, here are a couple of sample entries. This was my first entry here. The rejection, see all the absorption and sweeps going on, and the rejection at VWAP and the round number here. So a trade. Sorry, I still got an alert. Um, so the uh, I could see that Hero was trending down. This is confirming my thesis bearish, and so just looking for pullbacks to liquidity, to round number levels, to VWAP, and here was a good entry. Um, then another here at the liquidity at 305. So that's the kind of thing that I'm looking at and looking for.
Okay.
Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you're looking for pullbacks. You're looking for, first off, you're scanning these two stocks here because they already fit a criteria that you're looking for, and then you're using a few different indicators here in Bookmap, um, and in this case, that pullback there, back up into about 305 or so, and looking at some of the stops and or the sweeps. And absorption, no, it looks like sweeps mostly there, um, and then looking for the criteria in the order flow to match that,
Right.
and you enter the trade.
Now, I also I have Thinkorswim open, and I scan. Uh, I have a 2x3 grid of stocks open, all on 1 minute charts, uh, and I'm scanning all of those, looking for uh, potential reversal points as well. So I don't know if it'll help to show that, but that's
So
so
yeah.
that's Apple, AMD, Facebook, Microsoft, Nvidia, and the Qs.
Hmm. And what exactly are you looking for in these?
Well, let's see. Let me, just looking for looking for the same thing. Kind of a trend change, and trend change at a level,
Okay.
and a kind of a curl on this 9 EMA. That's something that JTrader does.
Yeah.
So this is what I use to scan a number of charts at once. Again, I'm still working on this. There may be a better way to do that, but I have two screens, a Bookmap open on one, and then Thinkorswim open on the other.
Okay. So yeah, just kind of looking at some higher time frame stuff, and scanning.
Oops. Now I see a couple of questions from Stefan. Pick one stock, and I'll pick one stock of those, and I'll take a look at that. And actually, I don't think that I think the only one that's available in Hero is Tilray. So let me see if I can show that. Go back to. It may not. That may not be available. I know those others are not. Let's get rid of this and go back to the complete list. Oh, Tilray's there. So that's the signal for Tilray, corresponded, uh, 1-to-1 with option trades today, and mostly calls was what was driving the stock as expected.
Yeah, actually, let's see. Someone's asking here about if you can explain a little bit more about how call buying indicates a short. He was confused by that.
Okay, traders were buying calls all week in stocks like Nvidia, um, and other stocks. There's a typical, I guess, meme stock cycle. Traders will start buying uh, calls on Monday that expire that coming Friday. and that goes on all week like it did in Nvidia. And those calls are decaying assets. They as Friday approaches, they start to lose. And all right, so when traders are buying calls, market makers are selling those calls, and they have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. So as time passes and Friday approaches, those calls start to lose value. Uh, Market makers don't have as much delta exposure, and they can start to sell their long stock hedges. So that's how that works. So that's um, why I anticipated looking for shorts today is again, traders would uh, presumably take profits, uh, and then also market makers would start to unwind their long stock hedges.
No, that's a great answer. And it's really interesting stuff. So let's see here. Back to Discord, and let's see.
Hero is not available in the Thinkorswim version of Bookmap. It's only available in Global Plus, available from Bookmap. And David asked, how did Hero behave in the close today? Is that for ES? I assume that's what he's asking. Let's go back to ES.
Yeah, I think so.
So again, Hero is the and the green line on the subchart. And it looks like traders were buying calls and or selling puts into the close. And that that's more prevalent in the last hour. It looks like there was a large block trade right here in this straight vertical line here. And you can see the corresponding trade for 47K right there.
Yeah, Brent was talking about these block trades last Pro Trader webinar, and you see these spikes like that.
Right.
What kind of insights, or how do you look at it? Your takeaway on that and integration with the order flow there?
Well, I would look at that as bullish. Seeing a large block trade, that's obviously institutional. And, you can see that after that block trade, there's follow through. CVD is rising. Buy stops are firing off. That's all bullish.
Yeah, that's a really nice kind of correlation of events there.
Right.
You've got all sorts of things kind of all telling you that this is, and that was the low. Or I'm sorry, that was the low at, well, just before the close, it looks like there. Yeah.
Yeah, that swing low there at
So, I mean, are you, I'm just really curious, Doug, are you capturing these moves, these huge moves like that? Like all the way back up to, and looking for something on the opposite side in the options to kind of give you insight to where you may consider exiting?
Uh, I do look at uh, uh, options trades as a signal for exit. Is that if that's what you're asking? Yes, that is one of the uses of or one of my uses for Hero.
So did you hold this until like I don't know, maybe the close until 4 o'clock East Coast time?
No, I was not trading this actually.
Ah,
I I normally work out at this time, so I had to I went and worked out early, so I was not trading this afternoon. I finished my trading this morning, and again just trading stocks.
right,
Um,
right.
and as I discussed with you earlier, I find that well, first of all, the SpotGamma Hero is a fairly new tool introduced in beginning of this month, beginning of March, and I find I started looking at stocks again because of all the stocks in Hero, and um, I just find stocks easier to interpret. There's less information. The correspondence with Hero is much more direct, or the correspondence with option trading for many stocks is uh, much more direct than it is with ES, and the liquidity is clearer. So for the time being, I'm mainly focusing on stocks.
Yeah, that's a big switch from before,
Right.
and it's due to this new tool and integration of that as well.
You know, I I can only do so many things at one time, and right now I'm focusing on stocks. That doesn't mean that I won't focus on uh, ES in the future, but
Yeah,
you know, at least for now, I'm focusing on stocks.
yeah. So I mean, so only for a month now since you've had access to um, this tool.
Right.
So this is all really new trading for you, and you're still kind of figuring it out, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a new tool. Before there was only Bookmap Hero, which again shows uh, combined signals for stocks for calls and puts, and for ES, for example, uh, SPY and SPX calls and puts transactions, and the corresponding market maker hedging activity. Um, I think this tool is, for me, really a game changer, and uh, I can cover some things in here quickly if there are any questions, or what do you think, Bruce?
Oh yeah. I mean, go for it. The I think the questions. I mean, there's some kind of comments about this being kind of complex, or it kind of boggles the mind, etc. Um, and, and yeah, I mean, options in listening to Brent talk, it's like you're listening to like a a PhD brain surgeon or something.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of information,
Yeah.
and on the all of the spot gamma tools available, I use as much as I can. Uh, there's still quite a bit that I don't use. Uh, Now, I will say that I have watched every spot gamma webinar and YouTube presentation at least twice, and I've all of the presentations, webinars that Brent has done for Bookmap. I've watched those twice as well, at least. And it's taken a while to absorb, but it's just such valuable information. Uh, the again, it shows this tool shows clearly that for many stocks, the key driver of price action is the options trading and the corresponding market maker hedging flow. And it's nice to have a view into that and to help uh, confirm your trades. It's a great confluence. So this tool again is new. It's only been out for a few weeks, and what it's showing, just briefly on the left here, these are some trending stocks that apparently SpotGamma has some kind of proprietary indicator that shows some key stocks, and then the total. This column shows a list of stocks. There are right now 137 stocks available uh, in this tool, and I have created a watch list of a limited set of those stocks that I believe have a strong, consistent correlation with options trading and market maker hedging activity. So the tool, shows the current price, the price change, this hero signal, which shows the signal in relation to this gray bar here, which is the 30-day range, and then the colored section, which is the 5-day range. So here it's showing there's a strong signal for Apple, and you can see that both the call and put, traders were selling puts and buying calls all day. And then just kind of the opposite in Airbnb here. And, it looks like, as expected for a stock like Airbnb, that calls would be driving. So, let's look at the total signal. And, pretty much a one-to-one correspondence, a nice leading signal for the reversal here. And then this number here, I think, is the uh, raw. They call it the raw hero value. So you can sort by any one of these columns. So I scan through this during the day. Um, Again, this is kind of the first version of this tool, and I think they of course SpotGamma will uh, make some make enhancements as time goes on. I find this is again a game changer for me.
Okay, Sam in YouTube there, I think he's just answered a lot of your questions that you were asking. So I think we're caught up there. And back to Discord. Let's see here.
And Paul asks, "What is this tool?" This is SpotGamma Hero, and it is a separate thing from Bookmap, and I use Bookmap and SpotGamma to, and yes, I do use this for day trading.
Mayhem is asking about the CVD and how you're using that. It looks like it's buy minus sell regular
Right.
CVD.
Yeah, the only thing that I've done to change CVD is I've changed the colors.
Yeah, just simple
Otherwise, it's the
session range.
default settings.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Really simple stuff. Oh, you have them split out. Okay, yeah, yeah. You can do
Right.
that, and there'll always be a positive value, of course, but the one that where it's not split out, it's just buy minus sell?
I I think 4 lines in the subchart is enough. I um, this is any more would be confusing. So I have both stops and icebergs set to some accumulation, and I find that uh, much more uh, much more helpful. Provides greater insight for me than any other setting. And then I have the on chart indicators that show the separate events, and then the again the stops and icebergs in in some accumulation.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see, David. I think he's asked or answered a lot of your questions there about the way that he's using it, and then trading stocks. It sounds like. So let me know if that answered it. Let's see.
And David, I use Hero uh, as a confirmation. So if I see Hero going down in a stock, I'm looking for short entries only. Uh, I'm not going to um, trade against Hero. I'm going to trade with Hero. I'm going to trade with the market makers.
Yeah, can you explain a little bit about that, Doug? I mean, Brent has talked about it a few times, but maybe you can be a bit more clear on it. Like, he notices that on the way up, um, the it just kind of the way that the market makers are hedging that you'll get kind of a pullback and it'll go up again, and a pullback and it'll go up again. But when it starts to work its way on the downside, uh, you get pretty strong moves.
Right. And I definitely prefer to trade on the short side than the long side. I think the movements are faster. Um, you can see here the sharp moves down, and then the kind of the slow grind up. I prefer to be in this stuff. Uh, these sharp moves down. So um, again, uh, I'm looking at Hero and want to trade um, with the market maker. So again, um, the way this works and what this is showing is uh, and Microsoft may not be the best example. There are other stocks. I guess it was last year. Uh, I think that AMC and GameStop were in the news all the time. Uh, Traders were buying calls, and then market makers are selling the calls. That's a negative delta trade, and market makers want to maintain uh, a neutral delta. They're not looking for a directional trade. Market makers want to maintain uh, delta neutral, so they hedge their delta exposure from selling those calls by buying stock, and that drives the stock up. So as traders continue to buy calls, the market makers sell calls and buy stock. So it's just kind of a cycle that goes on, and then that can go in reverse as well. Um, so again, in this case, uh, traders uh, were buying puts and selling calls, and that's uh, uh, negative, both negative delta trades. Uh, so market makers were selling the puts and buying calls, and they don't want to take on that positive delta exposure, so they still sell stock to neutralize their delta or hedge their delta.
So on this one here, I think you pointed around that kind of around 10:45 to 11 that you were getting on the short side. Um, and where would you optimally be looking to exit based on your strategy?
I would be looking at the levels of high liquidity. So the primary target, I'm going to post this later on. I haven't finished my marking up my screenshot, but this was, clearly the target. It's, first of all, it's a big round number, 300. It's the key gamma strike, and also it's where the most liquidity is concentrated. Uh, one, I believe that price, uh, is always seeking buyers and sellers. So this long-term liquidity that came in at the open at 9:30 was a primary target. Very obvious. That's like I said. Um, why stocks are often easier to trade is because of this clear liquidity that stays in the order books and acts as a magnet.
David, I mean, tons of questions in here. It's fantastic. Let's see. I guess first is I hope we can get to them all. You're asking about how Doug uses CVD in combination with Hero. Do you ever see a situation where CVD is moving up and Hero moving down?
All the time.
And then
And
what are your actions on that?
I follow Hero. Just from experience, I've seen that uh, that Hero is the market maker hedging activity that is shown by Hero is the key driver. Of course, I would prefer to see CVD and Hero going in the same direction, but if they're going in opposite directions, I want to confirm that with price action. Uh, but I'm going to go with Hero, just again based on experience and what I've seen.
Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. Uh, David is asking about, and I kind of, I'm going to mix in a bit of a question from my side as well here about, um, uh, do you notice on which days on some of the stocks there is more positive delta hedging, like Monday mornings, Wednesdays?
Well, the typical cycle. Let's take a look at uh, Tesla, for example. That's one stock that has really been heavily influenced by options trading this week. Uh, the typical cycle is that on Monday, traders will start buying calls. This, I think, the two most prevalent stocks this week were Nvidia and Tesla, where this was going on. And I don't know, Tesla was up, 15, 20 points every day. It seemed like, the as Nvidia and Tesla were both up a lot this week, and that was all corresponding to call buying. So again, um, the traders, whoever they are, retail, and I think certainly some institutional hedge fund traders are doing this as well, getting in on the cycle of buying calls earlier in the week and driving these stocks up. Uh, and then
So
they're
those are more momentum plays in that sense, and you're looking for that.
yeah, and that was going on in Apple as well. Uh, and it can actually continued today. But they're buying calls that expire on Friday. Um, so they're buying um, 1 week uh, expiration. So again, they're starting on Monday, buying the uh, buying the calls that expire on Friday. There's another tool from SpotGamma, this equity hub, and I have my watch list in here as well. And this shows the amount of gamma that expire, and I have this sorted by the largest amount. I think. Let's see. I thought I did. Largest amount of gamma expiring today, um, and you can see this is the expiration 325 for all these stocks, and from 51% all the way down to 31%. So a large amount of gamma expiring today. And, these were all stocks that I would look at as, uh, look for bearish positions uh, later on Friday. And then, they may start up the cycle again on Monday of buying calls. So bullish earlier in the week, and then on Friday bearish. That doesn't always happen, but it did at a lot of stocks this week.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things kind of going on in in the market right now. But as you continue on, and we'll do another one or maybe a pro trader webinar with you. But as we continue on, you might start to look at like kind of order flow and bookmap on a much higher time frame and kind of cyclical with the like you said, starting off in the beginning of the week. Wow, okay, they're buying a lot of calls, and you know that end of the week those are going to be expiring.
Right.
So I mean, you already have basically 2 points to look at for the week in some of those stocks.
Right.
So and
Uh,
then how do you look at that way, or do you start to kind of see if it continues, or you maybe midweek you're kind of looking for it to chop, or what has been your experience so far?
I that's my overall thesis for the week is calls will start to traders will buy calls, uh, stocks will move up earlier in the week, and then start to sell off on Friday. So that's the basic thesis. And then of course, I look at Hero to confirm that, and I'm looking at SpotGamma and Bookmap Hero, and then uh, I don't make any trading decision without looking at Bookmap, and it's a combination of both. So you know, Bookmap. So SpotGamma gives me the overall thesis, and then Bookmap shows me the trend, the price action, and the targets and the trigger. So that's those are the kind of the items that I talked about on my webinar last year. Uh, again, coming up with a thesis, and then looking at Bookmap for the overall trend, uh, and of course the targets are liquidity, and then again the triggers. The trend breaks, absorption and sweeps, reactions at liquidity and round number levels and VWAP.
And what's interesting about all these other things that you're looking at, these are only confluences to go in your direction of your overall thesis.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, you're looking for the order flow after to support that thesis, and then you have all these other confluences that to also kind of help guide you and just kind of give you a better feeling about like, okay, it should do what I'm looking for.
Exactly. So, again, this is something that I'm still working on, and it could change the way that retail traders are trading, or whoever's buying the calls. That could change in a moment, and it has. Uh, Earlier this year, uh, stocks were just dropping every day, and this risk on meme stock cycle was not really going on. Uh, and you have to um, adjust and uh, you know get a feel for what's going on. But again, I'm using SpotGamma in conjunction with Bookmap to make all of my trading decisions.
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, this is what you had were studying and had come up with, and even more so now. In fact, you've even drilled down into looking at and filtering for specific stocks now, and that's
Right.
that's new for you.
Uh, yeah, and looking at some of the questions, uh, David, if I can determine which calls they buy by looking at Thinkorswim. Uh, Thinkorswim has detailed option stats for uh, all the instruments in there, um, so I can see the total number of uh, calls traded on the ask on the bid, and then it also shows the open interest and volume for uh, each stock. In Interactive Brokers, looks like you could open an option chain, look at uh, the options for today, and see which options have the highest volume, and which ones they're trading. Um, and the key gamma strike uh, is the an area of concentration of gamma. Think of it's like open interest. So open interest combined with gamma. So that's uh, the level of again of gamma concentration. It can act as a magnet for price. And if I uh, you know go to the Spot Gamma website, and I think their help page is free and available to everybody, and you can search for a key gamma strike and see a more detailed explanation. And let's look at Tesla. So David is asking about 1030. Let's zoom in. With Tesla, there is a one-to-one correspondence typically with Hero. So with Hero moving down, Tesla is moving down. Hero moves up, Tesla moves up. Same. So it's a very direct correspondence. And this shows what's happening at 10:30 David. Uh, Hero starts to turn up as Tesla turns up. Bruce, are there any other questions that I
Yeah,
haven't
yeah, just
answered?
kind of scanning through. I think I've gotten to everybody here. If there's something kind of burning, please pop it in there. Um, yeah, we're just kind of getting some chat back and forth here about interactive brokers and Thinkorswim, etc.
And Markets and Mayhem is asking about stops and icebergs. Um, I focus more on stops than icebergs. Um, I find it seems to me that the larger traders that are trading with icebergs are potentially trading in a higher time frame, and they're often selling strength and buying weakness. Now, with that said, it often or sometimes see that a trade in icebergs will kick off uh, a reversal move, but I look at stops more, uh, focus more on that, and especially as a confirmation of a move. And you can often see that stops are the key driver uh, of a move in ES.
Okay.
At least that's my point of view and my experience.
Yeah, yeah. Looks like Tom B is saying the same thing on the stops. And a basic question from Bala: how do you get this indicator or use this indicator to get into a trade? I think we covered that one earlier. Yeah. So
Spot ask, use Hero as a leading indicator for price for some. I think looking at SPY for ES can often be a leading indicator. For Tesla, no, not uh, not very often. Uh, it again, I said, my observation so far is there is pretty much a one-to-one immediate correspondence with Hero and price action in Tesla. And I haven't looked at this long enough in other stocks to uh, to make a judgment. But I have noticed that, and like I showed earlier in this presentation, as well as in Bruce's, that the options trades in SPY were a definite leading indicator of the reversal in ES. So it just depends on the instrument.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you've done it to us a couple times just recently. Take a look at SPY on this or that, and like today, it was beautiful and really big drop. David, we can show you maybe uh, sure, no problem. Maybe I think we're kind of wrapping up here. Doug's been going for about an hour and 15. I'd be happy to go through the sweeps and absorption indicator on stocks during the advanced webinar, if that's okay. Oh, more in the way that how he uses it. Okay, maybe you want to cover that, Doug.
I I look at and you can see it in a lot of my posts for stocks that I'm pointing out the absorption, the sweeps at reversal points. So I'm looking at, and like I showed in Microsoft earlier, and I'll post this later on, my marked up screenshot that, often there's, uh, uh, sweeps and absorption going on at liquidity or round number levels that precedes a reversal.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
and David, I find the clutter is a lot less in stocks than it is in ES. The stock charts are a lot cleaner. There's less going on, less noise in the heat map. Uh, the liquidity is clear, much more clear. And one other thing, Bruce, I want to point out, uh, I write articles for SpotGamma, and I've been working on an article about how I've been using the new SpotGamma Hero. I plan to finish that over this weekend, and submit that to SpotGamma on Monday, so it should be published on the SpotGamma blog early next week.
yeah, I put the links in the chat for both YouTube and Discord there, so people can click on those, and I think you have a section there, right?
Right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah. I think your tag is correct. That should go point to all of my articles on the SpotGamma blog.
Okay. And for a lot of questions about some of the options and et cetera, like I think Doug was describing, which I think is really a really good suggestion of rewatching, for example, some of the webinars with Brent here at Bookmap, and then also the webinars and content that they have over at SpotGamma. I think together, Doug's watched them all twice. That's pretty incredible. That's a lot of hours. But he's kind of formed this new trading plan based on these tools that have not really ever been available before. So very, very lucky to have Doug's insight on this. All right, so I don't think there's any more questions. I think, okay, I'm sorry. It looks like one more from Mayhem. Why don't you give it a shot? We'll do one more, and then we'll call it a day here. Okay, no, I guess we don't have it. All right.
I'll go through these questions later on, and if there's something that I didn't answer,
Oh,
um,
yeah, okay, yeah.
I'll try to answer them.
He was talking about filtering out the noise there, and maybe also a minimum threshold you have on stops.
Well, let's take a look. Uh, I don't really have anything like Scott Pulcini. Now I do have thresholds set for alerts, but my observation is that the number of stops is relative, and it could change from day to day. The amount of stops that are influencing price action. Uh, so I, you know, I let's go
So
to my
you
setting.
use the probably the automatic filter then in there?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great tool. So yeah,
So the automatic threshold, um, and and go back and take a look at my post in the futures channel. You may have to search back a few weeks, but I find that stops always influence price. and the number will change from time to time, from day to day, and from time of day. So that's why I use the automatic threshold. And sometimes it could be for ES 200 stops that are influencing price. Sometimes it could be 1,000. Uh, so I don't have any specific number.
Yeah, yeah. No, it makes sense. I mean, different times of day, etc.
Right.
Different days, different volatility. You know, so yeah, I think we're all caught up here and getting lots of thank yous, Doug, and yeah, very much so. Thank you so much. It's really unique to you're doing something unique, and we're really kind of very lucky to have access to what you're doing, and that you're being very transparent about it. So yeah, thank you very much. And let us know how we can help you moving forward. You've been helping us out. So yeah, thank you very much.
Well, I'm glad to do it. Thanks, Bruce. Thanks for all that you do, and thanks for everyone for sticking around late on a Friday afternoon and watching this. And one last word: let's get more stock traders in here and in Bookmap. Uh, let's get some activity going in the stocks channels, and uh, get some ideas going and some collaboration going in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's you know try to get some more interest in there, and we can also cover more stocks during the advanced webinars. We just kind of cover what people want.
Right.
So the majority rules there. So okay, well, yeah, thanks everybody for coming. We'll do more of these, and a really good one here with Doug and his trading style. And I put in links there in his Twitter, etc. So you can always reach out to him via Twitter, or find him right here in the Discord room and ask him directly. Yeah, thanks everybody, and have a good weekend. Thanks again, Doug, and we'll catch up with you next time.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, bye bye.
All right. Bye.